Big dogs, I am incredibly worried about the direction that Yu-Gi-Oh is headed. Today I have me in chat and we're going to be talking about some really important things that you need to know about. To be honest, this can actually impact the way that you look at Yu-Gi-Oh or maybe even play Yu-Gi-Oh. I don't want you to quit. I just want you to be aware. Let's go ahead and jump on in. What's going on with y'all, big dog? And it is an amazing day for Yu-Gi-Oh! I hope that your day phenomenal. But if it isn't, don't let what happened at the beginning of your day ruin the rest of your day. Speaking of such, chat, do you guys know what time it is? It's Update Monday, a point in time where I talk about something to not only help you as a duelist, but also improve you as a person. I'm going to keep this really short because we have a lot of things to talk about. What I want to talk to you guys about is improvement. It doesn't happen in a natural scale that some people think. It happens in like increments. It's kind of like this. Sometimes you go through roadblocks, sometimes you go through a massive amount of gains and increases. But regardless, as long as you stay steady to the ship, you're gonna be okay. And hopefully that's what's going to happen in Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I'm not feeling it right now. I have a few concerns that me and Chad are going to talk about today, and one of them is one-card combos. They're actually starting to get a lot more ridiculous. Yu-Gi-Oh! Seems to be headed to a possible constant tier 0. They care about 2 broken decks, and everything else being so mid, it barely gets played at locals because it dies to 15 plus hand traps and can't stop the multiple one-card combos and starters. Bro, Berserker, you literally hit the nail on the head. On the surface, a one-card combo seems really good for Yu-Gi-Oh! I remember back in the day when you would draw your hand and one Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring would stop your whole turn, and that was a huge problem. But now with one-card combos, the theory behind it is if your opponent stops this particular card, you can have other cards in your hand to be able to build a similar or maybe even a better board. One-card combos! I remember back in my day, we had to have all 5 cards in our hand to make a combo. And when we didn't have the combo, it would be the T-set pass. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah. Gladiator Beast is such an interesting deck because it is a one-card combo technically. All you need is a Gladiator Beast monster to go into the battle phase, and that's it. Unfortunately, Yu-Gi-Oh! Players have taken that a little too far. If there's one-card combos, they can play a ton of hand traps, meaning that they can use these cards to be able to stop you from doing your combo and still do their whole little thing. One-card combos are only alright if it's me doing it. I would implement a rule: combo decks aren't allowed to play generic hand traps and then just ban problematic cards. You see, this adds a whole bunch of complications, and if one-card combos didn't exist, we wouldn't have that. I personally prefer the 2-card combos or even the 3-card combos simply because it forces you to deck build properly, and you can't just shove 15 plus hand traps inside of your deck and just throw them at your opponent and make them work. The 1-card combo situation also makes hand traps even worse. It makes it feel like a math game where you're gambling just to get these cards to be able to stop your opponent, and then they're gambling to be able to get the right cards to play through them. It doesn't feel like real Yu-Gi-Oh! It feels like rock, paper, scissors with extra steps. Also, they are printing multiple one-card combos for decks, so more hand traps are being played. Yeah, that's pretty much what's happening. But I think that this also has another inverse problem. It means that older Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks simply can't keep up. Because those older Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks require 2 and 3 cards to be able to combo, it essentially means that those strategies are a little bit more susceptible to hand interruption, which just infinitely makes one-card combo decks the only decks to play. There's like 3 one-card combo decks, chat. By introducing decks like Snake Eyes and Tenpai Dragon, Konami essentially made it a tier 0 format just simply off of the sheer will of making one-card combo decks essentially better than 2-card combo decks. And not balancing their generic Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards have only exacerbated the problem. Konami is in a game design slump. They will keep wanting a power creep to sell, but they can't come up with something that isn't one-card combos. Hold on. Hear me out. 0-card combos. If Konami continues on this trend, there'll be a point in time where you could just use cards from your deck to be able to summon other cards without having them on the field or hand. There has to be a peak to power creep? I don't know. There just genuinely might be, though. It'll be if you have an opponent, you can summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon from your folder. Chat, imagine playing the game and just be like, hold on, I can summon this Blue Eyes White Dragon from my trade binder right now. Yugi would thrive in that format. The only real way to reduce this insane power creep is to have an absolutely gigantic ban list, and that's not gonna happen. But I think people aren't even realizing the long game about this situation. Hypothetically, if one card combos are the thing, then that puts a point of emphasis on generic Yu-Gi-Oh cards. The only reason why people aren't complaining about generic Yu-Gi-Oh cards is because of Rarity Collection 1 and 2, making cards like Ash Blossom and Crossout Designator extremely cheap. Imagine if they didn't get a reprint and you needed 3 copies of every single one of these cards in just about every deck. They would literally skyrocket in price. And to be honest, I think in about a year or so, that's exactly what's going to happen. But to make it worse, if Konami ever does print a generic Yu-Gi-Oh card that everyone must play because their deck is literally 15 cards with 25 generic cards, then the card becomes incredibly expensive off the bat. If Call By was at 3 again, then hand traps would be less useful. Well, here's the problem. That's a generic card that everybody would play. So it just makes things more messy. I think another big problem that we have is that Yu-Gi-Oh players like creativity. We like seeing different Yu-Gi-Oh decks and different type of cards being played. But when you make these decks so streamlined and you force players to play generic Yu-Gi-Oh cards, then you only make the problem worse. Could try hand traps at 2? Then everybody would just run 2 hand traps plus more generic cards. The 1 card combo doesn't solve anything other than forcing us to get more generic cards. UP Tanker? It's a Link 2? And it requires 2 effect monsters? If you summon this card, banish it in every card in your opponent's hand. More floodgates? No, no, no. Generic cards are not the answer, chat. Generic cards are not the answer. The point of Yu-Gi-Oh was that my specific deck does this specific cool thing, and I get benefits from playing these specific cards. Yu-Gi-Oh currently is my specific deck does this 1 card combo, and I play the same generic cards. I hope to open them, and when I do and you don't, I win. Creative, what's that? Holy crap. But that brings me to the next problem, guys. I am very worried about the new set Infinite Forbidden. Infinite Forbidden has a generic 1 card engine. It's crazy. Oh, you don't know about the new Fiend Smith cards? Oh my god. Yeah, let me tell you about the Fiend Smith cards. So guys, with just 1 Yu-Gi-Oh card, you can make a rank 6 or a monster that can stop everything. I'm gonna walk you down the rank 6 line because I think this one's gonna be a little bit more applicable. You start off by activating the Fiend Smith to be able to add your Fiend Smith Tractus. You then use your Fiend Smith Tractus to get your Fabled Lori from your deck to your hand and discard it. You summon Fabled Lori because it was discarded, and then you link it into your Link 1 Fiend Smith. Link 1 Yu-Gi-Oh cards have already been a problem in themselves, but we'll talk about that later. Your Link 1 allows you to be able to summon out another copy of the Fiend Smith from your deck, and then your Fiend Smith in the graveyard can shuffle in your Fabled Lori to summon itself. That's 2 level 6s. You didn't invest your normal summon. You can make a Beatrice, Lady of the Eternal, send transaction rollback, and then send the Mayakashi trap card to be able to skip your opponent's turn. That is something that can be played in every single Yu-Gi-Oh deck. Hell, Fluundereeze could play it, chat. They could literally play this because you can skip your opponent's turn, then summon Fluundereeze cards. Fiend Smith is a 1 card Snake Eyes inboard. I did not want to tell him that. He's not wrong though. Fiend Smith is a 1 card Snake Eyes inboard. You can make Wavy King or that Dragon Omni. What keeps the OCG in check is Max C, right? We'll talk about that in a second. What keeps the TCG in check is Nibiru the Primal Being. But if you have a 1 card engine that makes Nibiru useless without even investing a normal summon, your real 1 card combo, then you're cooked. The Infinite Forbidden set will be the biggest set and the most problem set this year. And that's what I'm genuinely afraid for, because that's not the beginning of it. We're getting a Maxi-like card in Multi-Chummy or whatever the stupid card's name is, and Yu-Gi-Oh players don't even know how to deal with Maxi. Why would we get Maxi too? The fact that 1 card combo decks are getting stronger because they can play this alongside of another 1 card combo deck and other decks are getting weaker is a genuine problem. But you can bind that with this Multi-Chummy card that I talked about that allows you to get access to more hand traps and your 1 card combo easier. It doesn't level the playing field. Well, it's a Temu version of Maxi. I'm sick. He's not wrong. And if there was anything that we could hope for, it would be a ban list to curb these problems. That's what we got to talk about now. The OCG ban list was it was a ban list. Yubel will take advantage of the Fiend Smith. My god, the new mommy milker. Please tell me MM is something else. You're not calling Yubel a mommy milker. Please tell me you did not call Yubel a mommy milker. I plead the fifth. No! I thought he was talking about the new Moon Maiden card, which makes decks even worse. It makes the ability for every deck to play Fiend Smith, no matter what the requirements is, meaning that the card will be mandatory and expensive. Rest in peace to my Catapult Turtle. What did he do? Bro, look at Catapult Turtle. It's a massive unit. I think that Konami is having a huge problem with checking some of the older cards when they print newer cards. We've already known that Catapult Turtle is an FTK waiting to happen. Being able to tribute your monsters to inflict damage non-stop is definitely a problem. But it seems like Konami will print cards regardless of that just to ban the old card. I mean, let's be real, chat. Nobody is checking for Catapult Turtle in 2024 unless it's for an FTK. So Konami's game design really has to get on top of things because they'll continue to print newer cards to make older cards bannable. But is it really the older cards' fault? Beatrice, Lady of the Eternal, was at 3 in the OCG for so long and no one cared. Now it has to be limited to 1, which is probably a mistake. The card might need to be banned because of Fiend Smiths. I think you mean Yubel is a Bi-Curious Awakening cause. That card is damn Chat, why do y'all gotta be freaky? Why does the OCG get a bigger list of cards than the TCG? Like, really? I personally think that the OCG tier list is not a representation of what should happen in the TCG. But as you already know, Konami finds a way to disappoint us in the TCG if it's one way or another. Getting those one-card combos is a good thing, but getting down to the root of the problem and slowing down the Yu-Gi-Oh card game is what Konami should do. Right now, things are way too complicated. They're over everyone's head. Cards become ultra expensive because these new one card combos are needed, and it gives me some type of anxiety every time a new card is printed. How will Yu-Gi-Oh players make this less and less fun? But let me know what you guys think. Am I coping, big dogs, or is Yu-Gi-Oh not in a good spot?